spend 13 years of our lives in a formal educational setting. But we spend our entire lives learning. We learn every single day, with friends, with family, at home, and in public. We learn as we experience new things and hear the stories of other people. We think that learning and education are synonymous. Laugh if you want to, but they are not the same thing. Education is organized, and learning is bigger. Sometimes unexpected, always more interesting. We learn as we figure out ourselves how to be good people. And as humans, we learn best through story. Egyptians and hieroglyphs, Greeks and mythology, Vikings and odes. Storytelling, a form of expression that's been around for centuries. Allowing us to share and interpret personal experiences, storytelling is an important part of communication for many cultures. In the past, story has been used to share survival tips, ways of life, and ancient myths between cultures. Egyptians used hieroglyphs to tell of ancient stories. Greeks created mythological stories to warn people against doing anything stupid that may offend the gods. And Vikings created odes, spoken word poetry, to tell one another of ancient myths and ways of life. Before books or education, or even a common language, humans learn from story, through seeing, then doing. Keeping in check with the fact that we as humans learn best through story, let me tell you 3. My mother was born in Argentina, her family with roots in Italy. She came to Canada when she was 3 years old. Speaking only Italian, school was hard for her. Students taunted her and her family for being the dumb Italians, too dumb for school. To everyone, my mother was too slow to be learning anything. This was not the case at all. She had come to a new country and was experiencing so many things for the first time. She was learning how to speak English, figuring out the workings of a new country, and dealing with the social situations in which people made fun of her for not being the smartest. Every day, she was learning, both the workings of a new home and social skills that would always be important. My mother's grades did not represent the learning she was doing every time she went out the door, as this was not your average grade 1 curriculum. This was hands-on learning, situations a classroom could never fully recreate. On the other hand, my Aunt Susan, my dad's sister, was born into a family of academic geniuses. My grandmother was a whiz with English and languages. My grandfather loved math, science, and engineering. And Susan's brothers, my dad and my uncle, were both straight A students. Susan, on the other hand, was an athlete. She ran track and cross country and played tennis, badminton, and soccer, coaching tennis and figure skating in her spare time. But to everyone, she was just the weak link in an academically strong family. When she was in grade 9, a teacher actually asked her if she was adopted because her grades, because her grades weren't as good as her fantastic brothers. To everyone, my aunt didn't seem to be learning very much. That was totally false. As an athlete, she faced daily lessons of strength and endurance, teamwork and sacrifice, lessons of life that would be forever more important than anything taught in a classroom. As a volunteer coach, she was always out in the sun, coaching, inspiring, teaching young youth, learning again lessons of leadership and patience. But her report card did not reflect the learning she was doing every time she hit the field. Okay, then what's my story? I've always been the kid who likes school, and I do well in school, grade-wise, but my learning has never been exclusively in a classroom. Ever since I was little, I have loved story time, getting my hands dirty. I remember walking around the garden with my grandparents in only a diaper, learning about how the world works. Lessons of life with no textbook required. And then, school. My memories of elementary school were always in moments when teachers let us experience things for ourselves. We got visits from firemen, police officers, artists, letting us take a step in their shoes. We got to build marshmallow bridges and listen to and do readers' theater and finger paint and lunch monitor, lessons that let us learn, think, create. School, it was interesting, and then it wasn't. Then, high school. The elementary school kids in us were all waiting for story time in high school, that chance to experience the lessons on the whiteboard. But that never came. You see, elementary school is different from high school. High school teachers fill our minds with words, and they never leave enough room for us to visualize how those words work together. Everyone said we would finally learn something. My high school teacher saying it was about to get real tough. None of that easy elementary school nonsense, they'd say, asking, "Are you really ready to learn?" That's funny, because we were. Elementary school, it taught us just as much as high school ever would: how to make friends, how to interact with one another, how to share, how to be good people. High school just teaches the books. I've been in high school for 1 year, and in that time, I've come to wish that high school was less about the story and less about the book and more about the story. So that's my family's experience with learning, education, and school. Remember yours? We all need to understand the difference between learning and education. According to the dictionary, learning is the process of gaining knowledge or skills through study, experience, or being taught, while education is a process of giving or receiving systematic instruction. All education is learning, but not all learning is educational. They are two different things. Yes, we do learn at school. We learn from worksheets, lecturing, and homework. But we also learn outside of school, and sometimes only outside of school. Every real-life experience we have is so much more important than any text in any book. So teachers, educate, inspire, perform. Teach to the Susans, the Annas. Teach to the kids of today. Speak like you were in a room full of kindergartners, kids who want to get away from mommy and figure out that toy for themselves. Bring us all back to elementary school again, when school taught us more. Let us all find the wonder and creativity we had when we were little. Fill every mind with story, every pair of eyes with wonder, and every hand with something to fiddle with. So the next time you're in front of a big group of people with all eyes on you, make sure to bring learning into education, but tell a story while you're at it. Thank you.